the original shared revenue plan. He is now confident that they could come to an agreement, but negotiations could take several weeks. President Biden is looking forward to his trip to Japan. He's on his way there for the G7 summit. Earlier today, the president said he was optimistic about the direction talks on the debt ceiling have gone with GOP congressional leaders.
America is not a deadbeat nation. We pay our bills. The nation has never defaulted on its debt, and it never will.
President going to cut his trip overseas short because of the budget talks. He said he'll be in constant contact with lawmakers while he is away. An old building, an historic building in Ozaki County, said to be a total loss from a fire. That Old Lake Church Inn in Belgium caught fire in the kitchen Tuesday. No one hurt. It's 160 years old. Depression rates in the U.S. have reached new highs.
The percentage of U.S. adults who report having been diagnosed with depression at some point in their lifetime has reached 29%, nearly 10 percentage points higher than in 2015, according to a new Gallup poll. The percentage of Americans who currently have or are being treated for depression has also increased to 18%, up about 7 points over the same period.
CBS correspondent Jim Krasula. Prince Harry reportedly been involved in the same kind of paparazzi chase that preceded his mother's death in 1997. Learning about that happening in New York, CBS's Vicki Barker.
Harry and Meghan's office say the couple and her mother were involved in what they're calling a, quote, near catastrophic car chase involving paparazzi after a public appearance in New York last night. They say the chase lasted over 2 hours, resulting, they say, in multiple near collisions.
And involving other drivers, pedestrians, and even New York police officers. Sports, traffic, and weather next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 12:02.
When I came up with this half-combumbled idea of opening a furniture store in Milwaukee, I still think you're crazy, but well.
Ben and Arvid Huth, brothers and owners of Penny Mustard Furnishings.
Our parents were hesitantly positive for us, but that's just who they were. But my college professors, I was quitting college to start this, and they were, oh, absolutely, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. I had a girlfriend told me not to do it. We were originally going to have a partner.
He backed out.
He backed out. Actually, two partners backed out.
Yeah.
And actually, it was good that everybody else backed out.
Yeah.
Because it worked better this way.
But I guess we kind of looked at it as what's the worst that could happen? And honestly, what's the worst that could happen?
Yes.
We'd have been in debt and we'd owed a lot of money back.
Yes.
So we'd just had to work that off somewhere and then...
And it wouldn't have been that much money.
No.
We didn't have that much money and nobody borrowed us any, so...
Well, that's true. And at 19, you got the time to make some mistakes at that age, you know?
Yes.
So what if I had to work 3 years to pay off all that debt before I made any money again for myself and then go forward from there again, you know?
Yeah.
PennyMustard.com.
There's a race going on inside your body, and sometimes the bad guys, otherwise known as arthritis, get there first. That's when the joint pain kicks in.
Your healing process is just too slow and just can't catch up, and it needs just a little bit of help from QC Kinetics.
That's Dr. Daniel Zuckerman, a QC Kinetics medical director.
We all know that you can heal yourself. If you get a cut, it heals on its own. Your joints are no different. We can take the healing properties from your blood, concentrate them down, and put them in the spot that you need the help. It's amazing. Your body can heal itself.
At QC Kinetics, that's called regenerative medicine. No surgery or steroids, just lasting relief, the natural way.
The fact that we can treat them without surgery, but using their own body's natural healing process, without medications, without steroids, without surgery, it's just amazing.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
It's the Brewers and Cardinals tonight in the rubber match of a 3-game series from St. Louis. Corbin Burns takes the mound for Milwaukee. Our coverage gets underway at 6:10 on WTMJ. Milwaukee in first place in the NL Central. The Cardinals are in last. Brewers travel to Tampa Bay to begin a 3-game series with the Rays following today's game. In the NBA, the Heat and Celtics meet up tonight in Boston. It's game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. In the Western Conference Finals, Denver knocks off the Lakers in game 1. The San Antonio Spurs win the NBA's draft lottery. And Packers rookies are in Green Bay. They'll mix with veterans in Block 1 of organized team activities, scheduled to begin May 22nd. Greg Matzik, WTMJ Sports.
Checking the roads now, the Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver Traffic Report. 94 westbound, downtown, through the Zoo to Highway 16. All the way out, you're looking good there. That's a 17-minute ride. 4145 south, Highway Q to the Zoo is also on time. That's 15. 894 westbound, you might see some slowdowns just west of the Mitchell. There's some road work being done, so you might notice a brake light or two, but you should be okay. 43 northbound, downtown to Brown Deer Road is clear at 12 minutes, and 94 to the south. Delay free from the Marquette to Layton.
Traffic is sponsored by Harwood Place Senior Living. Learn about Harwood Place Retirement Living's newly renovated apartments and updated pricing options at their June 1st open house. To RSVP or to schedule a tour, visit harwoodplace.org.
The WTMJ 5-day forecast for today, sunny and cooler as temperatures climb from the 30s and 40s into the mid-50s this afternoon near the shore of Lake Michigan. High temperatures could tap out in the low mid-60s farther away from the lake. Easterly winds today around 10 miles per hour. Mainly clear tonight with lows ranging from the upper 30s inland to the low 40s near the lake. Sunny on Thursday with an overnight chance for a few showers and thunderstorms. Highs in the mid-60s after some early showers on Friday. Partly cloudy with highs in the low to mid-60s. Sunny and pleasant for Saturday with a high of 67 and mostly sunny for Sunday with highs in the mid-70s. I'm meteorologist Brendan Johnson with the Storm Team forecast on WTMJ.
Right now in Madison, 58 degrees, Green Bay 51, Waukesha 54, and in Milwaukee 48. I'm Eric Bilstead, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 12:07.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Come join the conversation on the Old National Bank talk and text line at 855-616-1620. Old National Bank. Get old. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome to the show. Eric Bilstead. I suspect a marketing stunt, but I'm open to your opinion on this. You know, from time to time, there will be companies in an effort to try to get some what they call earned media, like free media attention. They'll do stuff like when the M&Ms around the time of the Super Bowl said that they were going to get rid of the peanut candies,
yes,
right? And then of course that was the big thing, and they got all this free attention for that.
Talking
and then
about it. Yep.
They're back. And you remember like a year or two ago, you had the International House of Pancakes, IHOP, who said that they're renaming it's going to be IHOB, the International House of Burgers, and that lasted a week or two. Okay, so. All right, do you think, is this a marketing stunt or is this real? Oscar Mayer. Okay, now when you think about Oscar Mayer, what is one of the iconic Oscar Mayer things that you think about?
It's the big hot dog Wienermobile.
The Wienermobile.
Yeah.
Exactly. It is iconic,
yeah.
The Wienermobile. Here is the story. Oscar Mayer's, this is CNN Business, breaking news. Oscar Mayer's Wienermobile is driving off into the sunset. Say hello to the Frankmobile. For the first time in its nearly century-long existence, the famous hot dog-shaped vehicle is changing its name. Oscar Mayer says the new Frankmobile name pays homage to the new recipe for its hot dogs that it's rolling out this summer. And I'm looking at a picture of it. It looks identical to the Wienermobile,
of course,
except on the side it says the all-beef Frankmobile, and the idea is that they've got a brand new recipe for hot dogs. So it's going to be like all beef Franks. Customers will soon see refreshed packaging and taste a more balanced flavor profile and iconic beefy taste that is more delicious than ever, according to the press release. Oscar Mayer is coy about whether the name change is permanent, telling CNN it's trying to see if it cuts the mustard with fans.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, so, all right, is this all right? So this is you're on the record now. Is this a publicity stunt? Or is this real? Is the Wienermobile really driving off into the sunset?
Absolutely not. This is a publicity stunt. Absolutely.
I agree, and it's that I think that's exactly it. And of course, I guess it worked because we just spent 3 minutes talking about it, because otherwise we wouldn't have been talking about Oscar Mayer stuff. But it's just funny because this is what these companies do on a regular basis, and you can see these marketing guys sitting around saying, "Okay, how can we get those radio guys in Milwaukee to just spend 5 minutes talking about this and, plug our all-beef Franks?"
Let's call it the Frankmobile.
The Frankmobile.
Although it's funny, so it was basically done just to make sure everyone knew that they're changing the recipe for hot dogs, which
Yeah, I mean, or coming out with like their all beef Franks
Yeah,
or
that's
something
right, a New Balance flavor
like that.
Yeah,
you know, the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile, Frankmobile, whatever you want to call it, is also controversial because the PETA people just go nuts
they don't
about
like
that.
it, right?
Remember, they just they think that should be retired in general. So that's when I first saw this story. I thought, oh my God, I can't believe Oscar Mayer's given into like the caving into the PETA people. But no, it's not. It's. I think it's. I agree with you. It screams marketing stunt.
Have you ever met the Oscar Mayer Wiener drivers, like the people that are that sit there and park it from place to place?
No.
I think we had them in studio one time, and they take their jobs very seriously. They like the Captain Wiener guy, and they all have names, and they don't mess around with that.
And there are real Oscar Mayers. I mean, I mean,
but these are just random.
Oh no, but I mean, I remember. So this is like 30 years ago. I'm running for office, making calls, asking for money, and it comes up with the call sheet. Call Oscar Mayer in Madison. So I dial the number, and I'm talking to Oscar Mayer.
Not bad. All right.
No, it was sort of like interesting. So all right, so be on the lookout this summer for the all beef Frankmobile. That's a mouthful. The all beef Frankmobile. That's kind of a mouthful. I just think Wienermobile kind of works better. All right, let us get started. Let me kind of back into this topic. When I was younger, back in the day, there was an expectation that when you were in high school or in college, you would have summer jobs. That was just kind of the expectation. And the kids that were the coolest kids were the ones that had the summer jobs. Hey, you got a job working, for Milwaukee County, you're cutting grass. That's pretty cool because they're going to pay you a bunch of money. Or, you've got a summer job, working, at the golf course. Or you've got a summer job. And the kids that really, where their dads like worked in factories and stuff, and they got jobs like working second shift in factories and things like that. This was like during college summers, and I can remember it was a big deal because if you got that factory job, you're making big bank. And so that was the thing. And if you didn't have the summer job, it was kind of like, what's wrong? What's the problem? Why didn't you get it? And so I always, even though I was never one of the cool kids, I always had like different types of summer jobs. And I was able to fit in the other things like the debate workshops, the baseball and stuff like that. I was able to fit it in, but you kind of worked around the jobs. Somewhere along the way, that has, I guess, working during the summer has lost its cachet. I was thinking about this because earlier on when I walked in this morning, I ran into Don Smiley, who is the CEO of Milwaukee World Festivals, and he's here doing a couple interviews. And I had noticed because today at Summerfest, Milwaukee World Festivals, from 4 till 7 this evening, they are having an on-site job fair. And it's down at their offices on North Jackson Street. This is the only time this year that they are hosting active, open interviews. This is a job fair. Now, you can apply for jobs online, but this is one where you can show up, fill out the application, and be interviewed for these various jobs. And it's from 4 to 7 p.m. And I was kind of curious as to what the jobs were, so I'm on the Summerfest website, and I'm looking around. And, of course, it's not just for Summerfest, but it's for, and all the other festivals that they have going on. And it's sort of interesting because, generally speaking, you got to be at least 16 to work there. But there's jobs. There's jobs, for example, if you're 16 or older, there's all sorts of jobs that you can get in food and beverage. You can be, part of the keg crew, which is essentially, moving products to and from coolers and bar locations and cleaning up and doing things like that. If you're, you can also have jobs. They've got jobs for people working as parking attendants and people, doing cleanup of the grounds. And what happens is for those jobs, they have a guaranteed rate of $14 per hour, which is the actual base pay rate plus tips, but they guarantee you that you're going to make at least $14 an hour. Then there's other jobs. To be a bartender, you've got to be 18. And that's I think it's guaranteed $16 to $18 an hour, but the chance for more. And there's different positions with regard to helping people get in the doors, being the screeners. And there's different security positions, and there's parking attendants and all these type of things. But they need an enormous number of people. And so this afternoon they're hosting the job fair. And to me, I guess I look at this, and if you could have, when I was a kid, gotten a job at Summerfest, working the ethnic festivals and things like that, and being paid even the equivalent of, $14 or $16 or $18 an hour, this would have been incredibly cool. And yet I will be curious as to how many people this job fair attracts, because my sense is, because I will tell you, this seems like to me a great job for a high school kid who, now it's May 17th, who still hasn't figured out what he or she is going to do this summer. A college kid coming back who still hasn't figured out what they're going to do for the summer. It seems to me, working on the Summerfest grounds, and getting paid $14, $16, $18 an hour, working, and again, it's not a full-time sort of job. You're going to be working because they don't, it's not like they're open 24/7, 7 days a week. This sounds to me like an ideal summer job, and yet my guess is, at the end of this hiring fair, 7 o'clock today, they're still going to have a ton of openings. And this is, I think, similar to what a lot of employers are finding. They've got the jobs. They don't pay bad. I mean, $14, $16, $18 an hour, maybe more. I don't think that's bad for a high school kid. I don't think it's bad for like a college kid working during the summer. Don't think it's bad for, I don't know, say a teacher that's looking to make some supplemental income, and you've got, the summer's off, and you go down and you tend bar or do something like that. Our number is 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Assuming my premise is correct, that there's going to be a lot of job positions that are going to go unfilled, my question and what I want to discuss is why. I mean, why aren't the kids, the younger people, going down and grabbing up these jobs like they would have back in my day? They would have. Working, at Summerfest, for example, on those grounds, working at State Fair, that would have been a prime job that people would have just snapped up for a whole variety of reasons. And yet my guess is they're still going to be desperately looking to fill vacancies, even after like the job fair this afternoon. I don't even have any idea how many people are going to show up at the job fair, but you would think that it should be hundreds. 855-616-1620. Why can't we fill these jobs? We discuss in a moment.
Jeff Wagner is back right after this on WTMJ.
Brewers fans, it's me, Dom Catronio, host of Brewers Extra Innings, here to tell you that you can now catch Brewers Extra Innings wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, and of course, WTMJ.com and the WTMJ mobile app. Every stat, every storyline, and of course, highlights from the games this season following the Brewers all year long. Catch Brewers Extra Innings, presented by Fifth Third Bank, right here on the home of the Brewers, WTMJ.
Now, about your house. Eric Brown is the president of Siding Unlimited, your contractor for new windows, roofing, siding, decks, and a whole lot more. He knows about your house. So what do you know, Eric?
Imagine watching a TV show and turning around and acting as if you can do the same. You see how easy it is and you think, yep, I can do that in a half hour too. However, reality TV certainly isn't reality, and do-it-yourselfers, with all due respect, are not professionals. Leave remodeling projects to the pros. We hear the stories and there just isn't much we can do. Homeowners deciding to take on projects they have no business doing. Although the excitement is real, so is the final product. If your imagination says yes, understand that if the outcome results in a big no, you've set the value of your home back quite a bit. Imagine buying a house from a do-it-yourselfer. Now imagine selling your home after you did it yourself. The do-it-yourselfer is going to save money, right? So the first step is rushing to the store and buying the expensive tools that after one project are going to sit in your garage. So you really didn't save any money. Then you research and purchase the product. Typically, homeowner product purchases don't have the same warranties, and not the best products are accessible through the local outlets. So you're going to do it yourself with products that are less than desirable. Tools you'll never use again? Check. Products that are okay but not great? Check. Now the do-it-yourselfer starts working. Set up, prep work, and go. Because planning is all in your head, right? You're ready for your first cut. Uh-oh, a trip to the ER. Meanwhile, your wife is staring at you, shaking her head. Leave the reality TV for entertainment, leave the projects to the pros, and leave your free time to your family. Call Siding Unlimited.
Eric and his crews at Siding Unlimited are your home's go-to contractor here. Take your next step and check them out at sidingunlimited.com. Siding Unlimited, siding and a whole lot more.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620, which is the Old National Bank talk and text line. A couple people are saying, where is this job fair this afternoon? It's down at their hiring center location, which is 114 North Jackson Street. So that's kind of down where Summerfest is based, 114 North Jackson Street. But it's a 3-hour job fair, and they have tons of jobs that are open, and they're open. You can be 16 as long as you're 16 years old. You know, they've got jobs for you, and cleanup crews, and like hauling kegs of beer. And if you're 18, it opens up a whole other universe of things. And in many cases, it's no experience required, and they guarantee you, well, depending on the job, they guarantee you $14 an hour. In some jobs, they guarantee you $18 an hour. Seems to me this is kind of an ideal thing. Plus, you would think that working the festivals and working Summerfest would be a fun sort of job that you would have. And I know I'm maybe sounding like a dinosaur here, but when I was a kid, these are the type of things that people would have been flocking for. You almost had to know somebody, and have an in to get a job like this. And my guess is after this hiring fair this afternoon, I mean, I don't know how many people they're going to get to go down there. But my guess is they're not going to get anywhere near enough people to go fill these jobs. So what is going on? Jeff, I don't understand it either, but many parents have been convinced by their kids that they should not have a job and that they need a break from their 9 months of school. And other parents, for some reason, have decided the kids should not or don't need to work during the summer months. All I know is that until we make young people go back to work again, we should get used to very poor customer service at a lot of bigger events that we like to attend. I have argued for the longest time that there's a huge benefit in young people working because it teaches you a degree of responsibility. I mean, I've told this story before. My first job, other than cutting lawns and delivering papers and shoveling snow and stuff like that, was at a Treasure Island, which was like the J.C. Penney's, their like warehouse outlet, and it was a J.C. Penney store on Green Bay Road and Brown Deer Road. And I remember working there when I was 16 years old. I was in the toy department and stuff. But, it was I was a stock kid, and you'd go and you'd take the skids and you'd go to the warehouse and you'd, take the boxes and you'd open them up and you'd bring the stuff back to the toy department and you'd stock the shelves and things like that. And I remember it really, first of all, it taught me that sense of responsibility that you have to be here. This is the schedule. You've got to be there. And it also gives you this concept of earning money on your own. I mean, I remember, getting those first paychecks. And I also remember thinking, okay, this is how many hours I had to work to get this money. Do I really want to buy X, Y, or Z? It gave you a completely different perspective. John in De Pere. John, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
Good. What do you think about this?
Hope my connection's good. Well, we're about the same age. And in De Pere, I live by a high school, one of the high schools, and I noticed, that sporting events have really taken over, at least from the high school kids. They have softball and soccer, not just during the week, but on Saturdays. You get into summer and you get the select leagues going, and every parents, their kid's going to be, get a scholarship, right, or go pro or something.
Right.
At that point in time, these unrealistic expectations. But, they're not like, when we were kids, you 2, probably 10, mowing lawns, 12, you get a paper route, I had a paper route at 10, and my brother took a cut out of it because you couldn't have one till 12. But it taught me not to trust brothers. But
right.
I really think that the whole perspective has changed. Again, like you were just talking about, you need to, you got to be responsible. You got to be there on time. You have to get a schedule. Well, maybe, I can't do this thing tomorrow because I got to work.
Right. Yeah.
And to be in high school, make $18 an hour. I mean, I used to lifeguard for $3.65 an hour.
Yeah.
Granted, it's a long time ago, but
no, but exactly. Thanks for calling. I mean, right. These jobs, 16 years old. And it's not even like you're working every day, so it's 16 years old and you can go and they're guaranteeing you $14 an hour. If you're 18 years old, and you can work as some of these other types of jobs, they're guaranteeing you, the way I read it, $16 an hour, $18 an hour. That's guaranteed. I would argue that that's pretty darn good money. And I appreciate what you're saying about, these kids have busy schedules and things like that. But at some point in time, you want to say, give me a break. Not everybody's on the traveling soccer team or things like that. And even if they are, a lot of employers are willing to work around this. I mean, I know people who, run restaurants and stuff, and they're always willing to, accommodate kids' schedules. They're willing to go out of the way to do that. Leslie in Burlington. Leslie, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Hi, how are you?
Good. What do you think? Do you understand this? These young people don't want to work, I guess.
I don't think it's the kids don't want to work. It's from the parents. The parents are at fault for this, for not making the kids purchase their own cars and paying for things. My daughter's 16, and she's been working since she's been 14, and she bought her car herself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think it's a parent's issue. It's not necessarily the kids. It's how they were brought up.
It is funny. I was listening. I was trying to imagine this conversation with my father. And and he would come in and say, "Okay, it's mid-May. What are you going to be doing this summer?" "Oh, I don't know, Dad. I'm going to go to that workshop in August, that debate workshop in August, and I haven't quite figured this out yet." And my father would say, "Okay, it's mid-May. Why don't we have a conversation again in a day or two, and I'm going to ask you the same question. You tell me what you're going to be doing this summer." In other words, where are you going to be working? And that was just kind of the expectation that was out there.
Absolutely. And I think, sports, and I'm a small business owner, and I accommodate to all of my kids with their sports.
Sure.
But they also have to be accountable for their jobs. And, you go to the high schools and you see all these new cars. Those kids didn't buy them.
Right. Well, and also, Leslie, by holding the kids accountable, as we were talking about earlier, the kids get a work ethic. It's different when you are working and earning some money and getting that paycheck, and also that responsibility of having to be at a particular place at a time. I think that's valuable, that people should learn above and beyond just, what your paycheck is going to be.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Well, in any event, if you're in this listening area and you've got high school kids or college kids who are thinking, "Gee, what would I like to do? Is there something around I can do this summer?" Hey, go down to Summerfest this afternoon, 4 to 7. They've got a job fair at their hiring center location. All sorts of great jobs that are available. The jobs are there, waiting to be filled. Will they? Well, time will tell. Back with more in just a minute.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
Now these tend to fly off the shelves. But don't worry, because our connection supplies us with a lot of them. Vintage ceiling tiles from once great old buildings in New York City that make for ultra-unique artwork. These items are definitely hard to find from anywhere else around here. So come take a look, and you'll probably find a treasure. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. In Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
In Heartland, you're going to find a focus on distinctive furniture, unique antiques, and original artwork, along with tasteful home decor that can fit almost any budget. In Pewaukee, the focus is on kitchen, outdoor, and garden decor, and all of it is priced at 25 to 40% off retail. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor on consignment at a value.
Design Exchange.
This is WTMJ Jeff Wagner for the Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin's Health Network. A serious diagnosis of cancer, heart disease, or a neurological condition may lead to you being offered a clinical trial. Dr. Ben George, a Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin medical oncologist and director of the Cancer Clinical Trials Office, sheds light on clinical trials, how they fit into treatment, and why they're important. Listen to that conversation and all my previous Everyday Health discussions simply by visiting the Features drop-down menu at WTMJ.com.
While going over a new client's statements from one of the big financial firms, I was floored when I read that firm does not offer tax or estate planning advice. Because we know that saving money for our clients on their taxes, legally and well within the law, can make a huge difference in their financial plan. If you want to wisely build your wealth, it is my firm opinion that without a comprehensive approach, you're going to be at a big disadvantage. At Financial Strategies, Inc., we're taking a deep dive and creating comprehensive strategies that develop your retirement, investment, and your tax and estate planning. And all under a fee-only structure that means the success we care about most is yours. I'm Jim Cantrell, and I believe we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to financialstrategiesinc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Okay, for everybody who wants some perspective, let me just share an email. Text came in. Jeff, I'm returning for another year as a bartender this year at Summerfest. I'm excited to return. We had our orientation last weekend, and they said food and beverage is more full this year compared to last year. I think they still can't find workers, though, because people don't want to work. Still, I enjoy the extra income, and if people knew what we get included as employees, more people would apply. Lots of perks, including free uniforms, free food vouchers, free bus tickets, and most of all, free concerts in the amphitheater. I'm excited to start again for the Janet concert next week. With tips last year and wages, we make over $22 an hour as a bartender. No license required. Probably a lot of people think it is. I have my bartender's license, but it isn't a requirement. If you got a license, you get better bar stations. But that's just one of the jobs that's out there. And he's saying, with tips, he's making $22 an hour plus all these other perks. Eric Bilstead, where do we go to sign up for that?
Right?
Huh?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, Don Smiley was in here. Maybe, he could put in a good word for us and stuff. Make up, but they can't find people to do these jobs. And it's not all just bartender jobs. There's there's this whole universe of jobs that are out there that I would think, okay, I'm not in the market for it, but I would think that if I was an 18 or a 19-year-old kid or a 17-year-old kid, I think this would be as summer jobs go, it would probably be a fun job.
And one you remember forever.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and it is. You get to hang out, and yes, I understand that you're working and stuff, but you're working around the shows. Just job fair this afternoon. And if you've got a kid or a grandkid or a niece or a nephew who says, well, I can't find any jobs, okay, no excuses. Job fair this afternoon. 12:30, WTMJ Breaking News time is 12:33. Let's go to the WTMJ Breaking News Center. Here he is, Eric Bilstead.
Jeff, Governor Evers says he and GOP leaders are working toward a bipartisan compromise when it comes to shared revenue funding for local governments. Evers had promised to veto the original measure, which is scheduled to be voted on today in the Assembly. They get underway here in about a half hour. The governor says he does expect negotiations to continue for weeks. President Biden confident the U.S. will avoid an unprecedented and potentially catastrophic debt default, saying talks with congressional Republicans have been productive. President says he and lawmakers will come together because there's no alternative. He's currently on his way to Japan for the G7 summit later this week. A 160-year-old building in Ozaukee County said to be a total loss. The Lake Church Inn in Belgium caught fire in the kitchen Tuesday. There is nothing left. And a spokesperson for Prince Harry and his wife Meghan say they were chased by paparazzi in New York City and that it was nearly catastrophic. The mayor of New York, Eric Adams, calls it reckless and irresponsible. The couple chased by photographers in cars. Couple's office says the pursuit resulted in multiple near crashes involving other drivers, pedestrians, and 2 police officers. Time now for news about your money and the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management market update. Right now, the Dow is up 439 to 33,451. The NASDAQ is up 155 to 12,499. The S&P is up 51 to 41.61. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button today. Checking the roads now with your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic, 94 westbound. Downtown through the zoo to Highway 16 is looking good all the way out. That's a 17-minute ride. 4145 southbound, Highway Q to the zoo on time, 15. 43 northbound from the Marquette interchange all the way up north to the Brown Deer area should be good to go there. It's about a 12-minute ride. 94 to the south from the Marquette to Layton, also delay-free for the most part. That'll be about a 7-minute trip. Heads up, there is a disabled vehicle right before you get into the Mitchell. 94 south there, that's going to be blocking a right shoulder in that stretch. So you should be able to get through there just fine, but something to be mindful of as you're heading into the Mitchell interchange.
Traffic is sponsored by Smart Spaces. Adapt to the modern workplace. SmartSpacesWI.com.
How can Smart Spaces transform your business?
Creating technology, great culture, spaces that people really want to come to, attract talent, and keep that talent.
SmartSpacesWI.com.
The WTMJ 5-day forecast, sunny, cool, a high of 64 today inland. Tonight, clear sky and a low of 39. For your Thursday, sunny tomorrow, a high of 66. There is a chance for overnight showers and storms tomorrow night. For Friday, some rain in the morning, otherwise partly cloudy, and a high of 63. Saturday, sunny, a high of 67. Sunday, sunny, and a high of 75. Right now in Milwaukee, 49 degrees. I'm Eric Bilstead, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 1237.
I mean, so seriously, Eric, what do you think? So let's say $20 an hour. And so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe 6 hours. I'm kind of doing the math here, 6 hours a night. So $20 an hour, and that might be on the low side, $120. You know, you pick up an extra like $300-400 a weekend. Plus, you get all this other stuff.
If I can find myself at least located in the path of one of the stages so I can hear the bands, that would make it even that much better.
Right, exactly. Like, so, you know, you're talking about that's not a bad chunk of change. I'm going to go home. My wife's going to say, okay, well, you know, call it. All right, you know.
I'll see you out there then.
Exactly. Well, you and me, maybe we could pull some strings and maybe we could get like our own beer tent or something like that. All right.
Leinenkugel, something like that. Sounds good to me.
Whatever, you know, whatever. I'm just saying that's if it's sounding good to Bill Stat and me, it should be sounding good to all sorts of people. When we come back, speaking of sounding good, if they build it, will people really ride it in the numbers the bureaucrats say? Stick around.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
There's a right way and a wrong way to fight off mosquitoes. Karate chopping the air, in a public place, in front of your kids and their friends, Mom, is the wrong way. Using STEM mosquito repellent is the right way. STEM effectively repels mosquitoes by harnessing active ingredients found in plants, like lemongrass and peppermint, making it safe for use as directed around people and pets. STEM, rooted in nature, optimized by science, and embarrassment-free.
For powerful HP tech your business can count on Staples. Staples has great prices on a full range of HP printers, PCs, laptops, and monitors. And now through May 27th, score an extra $50 off all HP laptops regularly priced $599.99 and above with the Staples Connect app. Plus, this week only, the HP OfficeJet 9015E wireless color inkjet printer is $70 off. For the best deals on the best HP tech for your small business, shop Staples. In-store only. Excludes Chromebooks and clearance.
I know you have a great dog, right? But you know there's room for improvement. At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we can help. Our attention-based training system uses modern technology to help you better communicate with your dog, even in high distraction. When you schedule a free consultation with us, you will have the opportunity to see our training in action and meet for yourself our happy dogs off leash and under control. Contact Sit Means Sit today at 262-361-3641 or find us on the web at sitmeanssitwaukesha.com to schedule your free consultation so you can have a happy, confident, and obedient dog.
If mom or dad aren't comfortable with assisted living, now's the time to have their home equipped to accommodate their needs. There's a huge customer appreciation sale going on at Miller Mobility, June 9th and 10th. Save on stair lifts, ramps, scooters, lift chairs, bathroom safety, and more. Miller Mobility can equip any home to accommodate everything a senior needs without moving into an assisted living facility. Mention this ad and save an additional 10%. See their huge showroom in Oconomowoc or visit millermobility.com.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Annex Wealth Management's webinar, The Inflation and Rate Hikes and Bears Oh My, is now available in full on WTMJ.com. Wisconsin's afternoon host John McCure, along with Annex Wealth Management's Dave Spano, discuss the current economic climate and how to plan for your best financial future. Visit the Features tab on WTMJ.com or text the word Annex, that's ANNEX, to the Old National Bank Talk text line, 855-616-1620. It's Annex Wealth Management's newest webinar, The Inflation and Rate Hikes and Bears Oh My. So check that out. Speaking of checking things out, I know more and more people every day are gravitating towards this. We of course, are available. You can't get away from us. You know, we're all over here at WTMJ. You've got the terrestrial radio. You can listen to us on the stream. You can listen to us on podcasts, and I know a lot of you do, and I appreciate that as well. Anywhere you get your podcasts, whether it's through WTMJ.com or Spotify or, iTunes, we are now there. And as a complement to all that, we now live stream all our programs. So the easiest way to do it, well, we've got our own YouTube channel. Who would have known that? But you go to WTMJ.com, for example, and you'll see a Listen Live button, or you'll see a Watch Live button, and you can click the Watch Live button, and you will be able to watch the theater of the mind that is radio. And it's also once we do the show, it's then up there, and you can go back and you can watch it as well. So I've been trying to slightly upgrade the clothing a little bit. So like earlier this week, I had an event that I was doing for Armed Forces Week. I was in one of my lawyer suits, and today it's the pink pullover. Yes, real men do kind of wear pink as well. So, you can check it out. A number of people watch it and give me comments on, I like that. Or, really, is that the best you could do? So you can check it out. Again, we live stream all our broadcasts as well. Okay. There is a value to mass transportation. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that communities, cities have obligations to people to help them get around. And so that's why, you have rubber-tired buses. You have, in some communities, you have light rail. In other communities, you have, commuter trains and things like that. And to me, it all depends on whether something makes sense or not, depends on, all right, what is the population of the city? For example, if you live in New York, very, very few people who live in New York own cars. Why? Because there's so many people that live in New York, it's extremely expensive to drive a car. It's extremely expensive to park a car, and it's very, very crowded. So in New York, you have subways that people ride a lot. You have people that hail cabs. So you have people that jump on the buses. But again, it's because of the population density makes it very, very difficult to drive cars. Chicago, the same sort of thing. Chicago's a little bit easier to get around with cars, but if you live in Chicago or the surrounding suburbs, if you've tried to drive down to Chicago, into downtown Chicago at rush hour, it's just an absolute nightmare. So lots of people, take the commuter trains and things like that. And Chicago continues, I believe, to be like a big cab city. That it's tough to get around because of the population density. Milwaukee is not like that. That's just the reality. Our population has been decreasing. It is still comparatively easy to get around with cars. You can find parking spaces at a lot of places. It's not, and we're not growing our population in any significant way. So if you start with my basic premise that, all things being equal, people would rather have the flexibility that driving cars allows them. If you're not forced out of your car, you're not, as a general rule, going to take mass transportation. But nevertheless, I appreciate that there is an interest in having, for those people who don't have cars or don't want to drive cars, being able to get around. What I have objected to for years in doing this program is the ridiculous pie-in-the-sky estimates that people come out with as a justification for spending money. For example, let's take the trolley, the hop, and there was a report out the other day. The hop now costs like $15 per rider. $15 per rider. But when they were trying to justify building this a number of years ago, you had all these projections. Well, if we build it, we're going to have these huge numbers of riders, and these are going to be riders that are willing to pay $1 a ride. Well, all right, what quickly happened is, first of all, they realized that if you charged people pretty much anything to ride the hop, nobody would ride it. And so that's why instead of generating money from ridership, it's been and continues to be free, because they understand that nobody or almost nobody will ride it if they have to pay. But even with it being free, the numbers are dramatically below what they had predicted. We're just getting ready to launch this high-speed, quote-unquote, bus rapid transit line, where we've torn up all these streets and we've taken away lanes of traffic to allow buses to run from essentially the east side, start at Wisconsin Avenue, out to the medical college. Okay, and in return for this, all these tens of millions of dollars that have been spent and all the disruption that it's going to cause, you would say, okay, well, if you rode it the whole way, you could carve 8 minutes off the trip. That's the whole way. And the projections are, if we build this and we do this, you're going to have thousands and thousands of more people who are riding the bus on a daily basis. And, of course, they always project it out to like 10 years, so they don't have to be held accountable. But there's no way that that's going to happen. There's just flat out no way it's going to happen. And you can make an argument, well, we should have a high speed, we should have this bus anyways to make it more convenient. But this justification that it's going to dramatically increase ridership, just like the ridership hop projections for the hop, they're just all bogus. And the people that make them are never held accountable for them. Which brings me to a story in the local newspaper. State projects passenger rail expansion could draw 250,000. That's 250,000 new riders within a decade. Now, of course, we always go out 10 years because then the 10 years comes around and people have forgotten about that. State transportation officials who want to expand Amtrak rail to Wisconsin's population centers of Madison, Green Bay, Waukesha County, and other communities project the move could attract about 250,000 new passengers to the train within a decade and an additional 1.6 million by 2050. Now, how can you project, 27 years into the future? This is like, I think you can make an argument that they're just throwing darts at a board trying to pick a number. The State Department of Transportation this week released a long-term plan for Wisconsin's rail lines. And then the story goes on to talk about how it would need a buy-in from Republicans in the legislature, and, of course, that you'd need to get a substantial commitment of federal funds. But the proposed expansion would include Amtrak to Madison, other communities between Dane and Milwaukee County, on a route between Chicago and St. Paul, Minnesota, and then rail service from Milwaukee to Green Bay. Our number is 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. Now, I am not against rail when it makes sense. And, for example, as somebody who used to go to Chicago in another life, I used to regularly have to travel to Chicago to argue cases in front of the United States Court of Appeals, and taking the train was the way to go. You'd hop on that Amtrak train that it ran at like 6:45 in the morning or something like that. It would get you down there into Chicago by like 8:45. You'd walk to the federal courthouse, and then a lot of times I'd be able to hop the 1 o'clock train back. It was a lot easier than driving or staying overnight. So that made sense. And there are a number of people who use it to commute from Milwaukee to Chicago. My question is this: if we were to spend tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to expand rail service from, say, Milwaukee to Green Bay, or Milwaukee through Madison and then, out to the Twin Cities, do you believe it would really generate 250,000 new riders within a few years? Our number is 855-616-1620. If you build it, will it really generate that many riders? We discuss in a moment.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Top Fitness has the largest selection of home fitness equipment in Wisconsin. Their staff will show you why it's no secret that everyone from personal trainers to professional athletes loves Top Fitness. Their superior customer service can help you reach your fitness goals. Save big during the Top Fitness Memorial Day sale going on now. Take up to $800 off Inspire home gyms, racks, and cages. Snag up to $1,300 off Precourt treadmills and ellipticals. Take up to $2,500 off True treadmills. Plus, save over 50% on select Spirit treadmills, ellipticals, and exercise bikes. Fitness is their passion. Top Fitness carries a full range of gear from the best brands. So if you're looking for a complete home gym design or some simple weights, a Top Fitness store is the perfect place. Also available, professional delivery, assembly, and interest-free financing. Stop by the Top Fitness Brookfield location on Blue Mound Road and online at topfitness.com. Top Fitness, your best choice in home fitness equipment.
I'm certified financial planner Tony Drake with Drake & Associates. If you're retired or looking to retire soon, have you developed a strategy to minimize or eliminate the taxes when you start pulling money out of your IRA or 401k? If you haven't, then you have a very vulnerable plan because taxes are going up in the future. And if you look at the spending our government does, taxes could rise even more. Find out what's missing in your retirement strategy by requesting a copy of my Retirement Ready Toolkit that's loaded with materials designed to help protect you from taxes. Call or text TAX to 414-409-9982. That's calling or texting TAX to 414-409-9982 to get your free toolkit today.
Investment advisory services provided by Drake & Associates, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products are offered through a separate company, Loft Financial Advisory Group, LLC, a Wisconsin insurance agency. Clients are under no obligation to purchase any recommended insurance products.
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. There are over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at steelusa.com. Lowe's and the Home Depot are trademarks of their respective companies.
Wisconsin's own Gruber's offices. One call, that's all.
With inflation affecting so many families, the super affordable Mind Chef restaurant in Hartford is better than ever. WTMJ's John Mercure here. My wife Michelle and I love the Mind Chef. The breakfasts are big and $8.99 or less. Every Wednesday, build your own burger or chicken sandwich with a pile of hot fries for only $9.99. The cod fish fry is all you can eat and also $9.99. That's lunch or dinner for under $10. Kids menu starts every day at $3.99. Mind Chef desserts are all buy one, get one free. I love the chocolate cake, maybe a little ice cream. Every Thursday, buy one pizza, get one free. Order pizza for your loyal employees today and pick up your hot pizza tomorrow. They will love it. Happy hour today is from 2 till 5 with half-price drinks, half-price beers, half-price cocktails. The super affordable Mind Chef restaurant on Main Street in beautiful downtown Hartford and off the interstate in Oshkosh. No reservations needed. Just walk on in. MindChefRestaurant.com.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
See that train, the midnight train runs both ways.
See, of course, part of the problem is, and I'm getting some texts from people say, "Oh, I think it would be cool if I could, take the train up to a Packers game at Lambeau Field." Oh, okay, and maybe that would be cool, but that's something that you're going to do, maybe 2 or 3 times a year. Is something like this sustainable on a regular basis? And people who say, well, it'd be great to be able to, commute back and forth to Madison on regular trains. Well, okay, part of the problem is, unlike, for example, going to Chicago where the train drops you off in the heart of downtown, you take the train, so you have to drive to the train station in Milwaukee, then you hop the train, you get out to Madison, and I guess depending on where the train station is, if you're 2 or 3 miles away from, where it is that you're going or where it is that you work, then you're going to have to call an Uber or take a taxi or walk a couple miles. People aren't going to do that as a practical matter. It's just, to me, it's all about population density. Now, again, you can have this argument that we shouldn't care what it costs. Why do we care that it costs $15.03 per ride for the hop? We've got this hop system, and that's justified. But what frustrates me is you get these predictions of the number of people who are going to ride them, and it never turns out, or almost rarely turns out to be accurate. But the people who make these predictions in order to justify these huge expenses, they're never held accountable for this. Let's start with Paul in Reedsville. Paul, you're on WTMJ.
Hi, Jeff. I think it won't do anything. Once upon a time, didn't we have passenger trains from all the major railroads, and that's where Amtrak came about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, if you would have asked Milwaukee Road or Chicago Northwestern back, like, right after World War II, what would your ridership be? I mean, they might have threw out some big numbers, and the reality is they didn't, after 1971, neither one of them was running passenger trains anymore, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, and thanks for calling. And see, and again, to me, it's, I understand why, like, regular rail service, commuter rail makes sense going to Chicago. Whether you're in the Chicago suburbs or, like I was saying, whether you're going on business from Milwaukee to Chicago. I understand that because it is so difficult to drive that route. It's not difficult to drive between Milwaukee and Madison. And if you live, for example, if you live in Brookfield or you live in Wauwatosa, in Waukesha, it becomes even easier to make that drive. So I think, we have to have these honest discussions about where do these numbers come from. Phil, who's calling us from Stevens Point. Phil, you're on WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Well, thank you for the call here.
Sure.
Yeah, this is interesting. I think it's kind of a crap shot. Either it's going to make or it won't, because like when I was in college, like in early 1980s, we drew up a plan to make like an Amtrak service basically go up like basically I-41 area along that corridor where there's existing rail through the Fox Valley to Green Bay and then over to like New London, Wapaka, and then Stevens Point and out to Marshfield, Eau Claire, Menominee River Falls, Hudson, and out to Minneapolis. And the reason being is that covered most of your major university towns. It covered your veteran homes towns, I believe, in Union Grove, King, and Chippewa Falls, and your regional medical towns. And the theory behind it was that it would give people, people could ride the train that were like, compromised for driving, for basically on the road if they had medical conditions and things like that. But I just don't know about like the numbers, the population and stuff. But I would think by running up to Green Bay in the route that we suggested would probably cover more people than going like through Madison per se.
Well, thanks for calling. I mean, look, if you go the route you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars to try to do that. And I guess I understand what you're saying about university towns, but is that enough? My granddaughter goes to the University of Minnesota. Okay, so would it be more convenient maybe if she could hop a train on a regular basis and come back as opposed to like the bus? Oh, okay, but is that going to be enough to sustain this? And if you're really, I guess my only point is I see these numbers and I just think they're pulling them out of thin air. And I think that's where you have to have this honest conversation, because time and time again, we have been sold a bill of goods. We've been told you spend tens of millions of dollars. You put $60 million into building the hop. You're going to have all this ridership. You don't have the ridership. Oh, well, we need to do this we have the bus, the high-speed transit line. It's going to generate all these riders. Maybe, but if history tells us anything, the answer is absolutely no. So do we deserve to be skeptical? You bet.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this on WTMJ.
Vince Vitrano here from Wisconsin's Morning News, here to tell you for the first time ever, you can download our show wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen, you can listen to us now too. Listen time and time again to your favorite segments like Super Plow, The Legend of Sean Wendt.
So I got on the phone and I called Sean Wendt. I said, Sean, I need some help.
Fake promos. And more.
Why, in all that is holy, is that not? Why isn't that the promo?
That's a great question.
Keep up with us on Wisconsin's Morning News wherever you get your podcasts.
Wealth-changing question. Is your advisor giving you incomplete advice? Besides investing, there's also taxes, insurance, estate planning, and other elements that can be stressful to organize. At Creative Planning, we provide all the expertise, all the advice you need, all in-house, ensuring every aspect of your wealth works harder together, so you can enjoy your wealth instead of worrying about it. Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
Here's to soaking up surf culture on Wisconsin's fresh coast. Here's to beaches designed for people of all abilities. To sand between your toes and happiness in your heart. Here's to trading skylines for endless Wisconsin shorelines. And to ending each day with smiles all around. Here's to those who Wisconsin. Start your summer getaway at travelwisconsin.com.
Earn points every time you shop with Fleet Rewards. 500 points gets you a $5 reward. It's free and easy to sign up, in-store or online. Sign up today and start saving with Fleet Rewards at Fleet Farm.
Live life to the fullest. Hey, you hear that all the time, but it's easier said than done when you're in pain, right? Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. QC Kinetics gives people all around Milwaukee their quality of life by providing much-needed relief for chronic joint pain, and not just providing that relief, but doing it in the most non-invasive way possible, using regenerative treatments from your body's own natural biologics. So where is your joint pain? In your knees, your hips, shoulders, maybe your back? Well, QC Kinetics concentrates these impactful treatments right at the source of your pain, directly applying healing properties where you need them the most. No surgery, no downtime, no steroids or harmful drugs. And patients are raving about the results. So what does living life to the fullest look like for you? Well, finally being able to exercise or walk the dog, maybe enjoying time with the family, or just working your job. Whatever it is, don't wait another day. Call QC Kinetics for your complimentary consultation. 414-285